So here's the beginning of the Dinan cold air intake project on the 4.8i X5. Here's the stock air intake, air filter housing, the air intake actually. And then here is the new Dinan cold air system. And it comes in three parts. This goes along the side wall. This is a top cover here. And then this is the side wall part right here. And here's some other parts in terms of hooking it up, a couple clamps, and then in this box here is the brand new air cleaner, the Dinan air cleaner. And this, from the instructions, seems to be a fairly basic job, basic skill level, basic sets of tools. Needed Allen wrenches, socket set, cordless screwdriver, and then the other item that you can see in the instructions is a hole saw for some additional ram air, which we will be doing that. We've already taken several of these out, but these grommets, the push tabs, you take, there's 4 of those to take the air intake out. So there's another one here. And then this comes out just like this. It exposes the top part of the radiator. This piece here actually we'll be removing and won't be using. It actually feeds cold air into the stock air box. To remove this air duct from the stock air intake, again, you won't be using this piece anymore with the Dinan system. All you do is just push in this tab, and it should then come apart. You can see I've pushed it in, and then you just pull this. It should come apart pretty easily here. And then the next step is going to be to disconnect where it's connected up to the stock air box. That fitting right there, we're going to be removing this bolt, and then there's a bracket on the back side too, but it should be fairly simple. So for this here, these tabs, there's 2 tabs like this. This just pops off, and then there's one underneath here, so that's loose. You can see that's loose in there. And then this bolt needs to come off here. It's actually a 10 millimeter. So we'll loosen this up and remove this. Set that in there. Then loosen this up. Alright, that's loose. So you can see the whole air box now is loose. To be able to pull it out, it should just, once it clears this over here, it should just come apart. So then you can see I had to pull give that a little bit of a tug, but it came clear, and the whole part just comes out, and then it leaves room for the new Dinan airbox. Now that the old airbox is removed, wanted to point out, we are going to do the optional additional cold ram air vent, which goes in the side of the radiator housing. You have to drill use a hole saw. It's calling for 2 1/4 inch hole saw, and so where that goes is actually right here. The box will be up against the side on the other side in the engine compartment, so it'll allow additional air to get into there. So we are going to do that. So to drill the extra ram air hole in here, let's move the light so we can see a little better. You take the hole saw, which you can see, it's just this part here, and you flip it backwards to where you want to center it at, which is about right there. And then you need to just mark the center of it, and you can use you can start a pilot hole there. So I'm going to do that. So now I marked the spot, which is the center of where we want our additional ram air hole, and now I'm going to go ahead and drill that. What I want to do is just drill a pilot hole at that spot. Just like that. So now we've attached the hole saw onto the end of the drill, and you just line the drill bit that's located in the center of this. I don't know how well you can see this, but into the pilot hole that we drilled, like so, and then you just start drilling with the hole saw. So I think it's almost through. Let's see here. Not quite. Yep. Guess that went through. So you can see normally it's attached at the end, which it is. So then you can see there's the hole. Just clean some of this up here. And you can see some of the plastic filings they'll end up just blowing out once you drive the car and get moving and get air flowing through here. That turned out pretty good. And it was fairly straightforward. And again, that's for this step here that we just completed. So for the next step, there's it's called a speed nut that slides over the bracket that's just below the coolant reservoir. So we're going to get that out of the packet of goodies here that Dinan includes. So that's see it in there. So I just pulled that out of this bag, and it just looks like this. And you need to have the, let's see, which part is facing forward. Facing forward. So you can see it's threaded in the back. So you can see how the threads protrude in the back. That has to be facing backward. And that just slides in there just like that. And you want to fit it over the existing hole on the bracket. So then the next step is installing the front airbox wall that goes in. It's a curved piece. This is it right here. And these guards here actually are loose. They come can easily slide off. So you just want to. They were loose in the bag when I took them out of the bag, and then that's going to slide in behind these AC lines. So we got the front airbox wall sitting here. It needs to slide in behind these radiator lines, and we need to temporarily take this screw out to loosen this up to fit it behind there. And this is just a 10 millimeter. So that's off. We're going to just set this in here so we don't lose it. And then that frees up that space. We're going to put that back in once we get this position back in here. And then you have to be careful. Move the light here. There's wires that need to fit. There's a half moon opening down at the bottom of the front air wall, the front wall part of it that then goes through, and then you want to be careful of that as well, that you're on the left side of that and don't damage that in the process. So we have this now in the right place. You can see the position on the left side of that sensor. There's a half moon opening. You can see we routed the wires through, and it actually goes all the way up. The edge of it seals up against the side of the radiator housing. And then we're going to go ahead and put this screw back in. So we got the screw that we took out here temporarily to fit that the front airbox wall in. So we're going to tighten that up. And again, this is a 10 millimeter. Okay, that's good. So that step is complete, which is step 7. And 9, 7, 8, 9. Now we're going to install the airbox corner. Okay, so we have the airbox corner put in position here, and you got to make sure to run that line, which is a washer line, through that grommet or that half moon opening there, and then there's another one over here, and then this will end up lining up with that the threaded piece that went over the bracket, and then I still have to line these holes up here with the front wall part, and then put the supplied screws in to attach that. So I'm starting to attach the corner part of the box with the front wall with the supplied Allen screws. The one thing I had to do is to reach the bottom one to get the Allen wrench in there. I had to disconnect that electrical socket temporarily. There's 3 of them, 3 spots to put the screws in. to connect those two together, and then you got this one right there. So in this lower one, all I did was hand tighten this in as much as I could, just like that, and then take the Allen wrench and reach down in there to give it the final tighten. Give it a few turns, and that's good. So put that back up there, and then I'm going to reconnect this electrical connection here back into this. Get that snap back in there just like that. So that's reconnected, and then the screws in there where it should be. So we're going to get the last screw for this part. And there's a washer too that came with it that I'm putting on each one, and then you just hand tighten it in here like this, and then you get your Allen wrench, and now these, you know, like most of this, you don't want to over tighten it, even though these are metal pieces, not plastic. Which is great. Dinan always does a really high quality job with what they do. You still don't want to end up stripping it. So make sure this is tight, just like that. So for the next step, which is installing the airbox lid, we're actually going to have to drill 2 mounting holes in the radiator bracket for the lower holes. But the first thing you need to do is to get this thing tightened down to get the position correctly, and then you mark the 2 holes, and then we'll have to drill, and then there's some threaded inserts then that go into there for us to attach the Allen bolts to it. So we're going to do that now. So what I've done is hand tighten these ones in here. I'm going to actually fully tighten them down, and then that'll give us where to mark the holes here to drill into the radiator bracket to put the final 2 screws. I'm going to tighten these up now so that we get the 100% right placement. I'll finish tightening these up. So I've tightened these all the way up, which will give me the correct placement on these. So I'm going to go ahead and get something to mark the position, and then we're going to get those drilled out. So then all that I did here was just hold these down. I used a pen and just drew a circle in each one, and then I'm going to take this off and then drill out the holes to put those in. We're going to lift this off here, and then you can see there's a mark there, right there, and then right there. So we got 2 marks. So for the mounting holes in the front, the radiator bracket, we're going to start out with an 1/8 inch drill bit, but you ultimately need to work up to 3/8 inch, and to put in the threaded posts that go in there. So we're going to go ahead and start with an 1/8 inch. that one. And then we got one more here. Right, that one bit too, so these are going in pretty easily. You want to be careful. Behind this one it was clear. There wasn't anything behind here, but behind here you got the light assembly, so you don't want to drill into that. So we're going to use a little lighter pressure on this one. Gotta tighten that drill bit back up here. It's almost through. Okay, so that one went through okay, and so did that one. So we're going to go back in with the 3/8 inch. These are the threaded inserts that after we drill our 3/8 inch holes there, these slide in, and then the top of the airbox just goes back on, and then those Allen bolts will slide right back in there. So this is what we're going to be using right here. Okay, so that one went through okay. And then this one, again, we got to be careful because of the light assembly behind there. So you can see we got both 3/8 inch holes in. And then you just have to push these through. And they should just slide in there. We might need to tap those in to get those in. So these are the threaded inserts, and there's the lip on the end's a little larger to prevent them from dropping all the way through, and so that's the way that they go in. The threaded part basically faces down, and it just slips in there like so. Then we'll get the second one, and it also goes in just like that. And then those should be good to be able to mount up the top cover for the new Dinan cold air intake. The next step is to plug that hole with this insert, and it just should just snap right in. No tools or anything needed. So that's in place. And now we need to install the air filter, which is kind of a cool part of this project. So you can see what the air filter looks like. Very different than the stock square one that the car comes with. And the design of the filter also increases the volume of the air that comes in, and the flow of the air goes easier too. So we're going to unwrap this and then hook that up there inside the box. You know, obviously definitely want to take this out of the plastic before you install it. Otherwise, I don't think you'll make it too far. So this is a super simple install. You just slide it back in. It just clears that bracket. And then you're just going to mount it on here like this. You push it all the way up against the inside of the wall of the air box, and that should be it on that part. So I was incorrect on how to install these nut inserts. There's actually a tool that comes with it, and what it does is tighten and expand it in the spot to hold it in place. So that's what this is. You can see how it goes together. You tighten that up, and it'll expand it and allow it to go fit better, completely tighten itself into the hole. It's almost like a rivet. So we got the one inserted good. Basically what you do is it comes with this tool that you need vice grips or pliers and then a socket wrench to operate properly. And you hand tighten it on, which we're going to attempt to do in film. Hand tighten it all the way. So the threaded part is down at the bottom, just like that, and then you use a socket on there while holding that with a vice grip, and it works just like a rivet, and it draws that up and expands it and fits it tightly into the hole that was drilled for it. So we're going to do that on this one too. Alright, so both of these nut sets are in here. Solid, they expanded well into the opening, and we should be good to go now to get those in, and the top plate for the air box. So then the next step is to take the lid and let's put it back in place with the new screw openings that we installed in the radiator bracket. And then I'm just going to go through and at first just hand tighten the screws back into place, and then we'll go around and I'm going to start up here first, and then we'll go around and tighten them up with the Allen key. Alright, so we got all 6 of the Allen bolts in the top, and these worked out good too. The new mounting spots in the radiator bracket with the nut sets that are threaded. So we're going to go through and tighten these up. And then the last step will really be to hook up the connector boot that comes with it, and then we're going to fire it up, and you should be able to notice a pretty good difference. So it took a little bit of wrestling around with it, but I got it mounted up okay. You want to make sure you put these clamps on, first on the boot before you start trying to mount it on there. So I'll get this one on here, and this one fits on here like that. And then I did loosen this one up too, just to be able to have some extra play in it. But we actually did not need to take the mass air sensor off in this case, which was great. So I'm going to tighten this up. Well, here we are, project complete. This is all tightened up here, this is tightened up, and it looks awesome. I gotta tell you, I'm super excited, and we're gonna clean up, put a couple of these things away. We gotta put that back on right here, which I'll do in a second. So the air intake just fits back on here, and these little fastener go back in place. Got to put one here, here, and here, and then that's good. And then we are good on the install of our new Dinan cold air intake on the X5. Thank you very much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video, post any comments below, and hope you found this project useful and informative. It really wasn't that difficult. I'm going to give it a probably like a 4 on a scale of 1 to 10 on degree of difficulty, with 1 being the easiest. Mainly because you had to do some fabricating, not so much fabricating, I'm sorry, but you had to drill some holes into the radiator bracket. You had to make sure those are lined up okay. And again, we drilled out an extra place for some ram air to get into the air box too. And, so you need a hole saw for that, which we did have. So, okay, thank you.